Mr. Benja, you heard of Tucker Carlson getting $100 million offer?
Man, screw Tucker Carlson. Oh, sorry. Let me maintain my journalistic integrity, journalistic objectivity. Yes, Tucker Carlson's a right-wing news pundit that was recently removed from Fox News in the wake of the lying scandal or something like that.
Yeah, the Dominion voting system scandal that Fox, basically Dominion sued Fox for like billions of dollars for getting it wrong that their systems were crappy. And so they settled, of course, so they can kind of move on. But then I think Tucker Carlson, they got revealed all the crap he was saying behind Trump's back, all this other stuff. No one really liked him. And he did some more controversial things. So he had to go from even Fox, right, of all the places. And so now he's looking for a home. And here comes your boy. Patrick,
my boy, your boy.
Patrick Bet-David, your next 5 moves. Man, yeah. So yeah, this, we talked about him before. Just one of these, big time, business influencers. He's out here making a name for himself. Came out in the insurance market. I think he sold that company, to be honest with you. I think he's moving on to some other things. Not unlike TD Jakes, right? He don't even preach anymore. TD Jakes got another book out, I think, so there you go. Yeah. It doesn't matter, man. Well, you can. You could be in the ministry, you could be insurance, you could be selling real estate. Don't matter. It don't matter. These guys, I mean, you saw Grant Cardone. I don't know if you saw him the weekend. He's talking about 10X Health. I don't know if you saw that. He's got another thing coming out. So anyway, I digress. But these guys are coming out of woodwork with new things. And so Patrick Bet-David is out here talking about, how can I get Tucker Carlson on the team? And Tucker Carlson, if you're down, I got $100 million for you, right? And so, I don't know, Mr. Benja. I mean, I'm two minds, sure. I mean, it's one of those things that gets attention, gets the views, but I just don't know about getting in bed like that. I mean, and it's kind of like Patrick Bet-David did this before with the other controversial guy. What's that guy's name? Andrew, what's his name? The big guy that got canceled off of Twitter for his...
Andrew Tate? Oh, yeah.
Andrew Tate, yeah. He did a big old interview with him. That guy's hilarious. I don't know if you hear him talk, man. It just...
Yeesh. Yeah.
It's too much.
I've heard him talk, and some of it's in the grifter territory where, someone's just saying it for that type of attention. But, I mean, you get him on a panel with some of these YouTubers, and they're just used to being on YouTube. He's actually out there. He was a kickboxing champion.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets out there with his gruff voice and starts yelling at people. In fact, there's a whole Vice segment on a guy went through one of Andrew Tate's programs. And it was interesting and eye-opening. But yeah, so back to Patrick Bet-David and this whole influencer thing. It seems like he's putting together or trying to put together a stable of just wild influencer types. And it's terribly fascinating that this is how you're going to put together your network. And the people he's been talking to, like Roland Martin, he was talking to Kobe Bryant. He was getting in there. I don't know. He's got a weird angle, but it totally makes sense for this era.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought he was doing anything too innovative. There's a couple influencers out there. Oh, wow. They really have something interesting to say and unique and different for the marketplace. And some are just more aggregators. I always thought he was more of an aggregator. He's just kind of bringing things together. Even my guy, Ryan Pineda, similar, right? It's just like he does all these podcasts, all these other influencers. And he's like, oh, let me find out what this guy's about, right? Thanks, Ryan. But I don't know, Patrick Bet-David, I mean, he's just really good about, getting his little whiteboard, right? And say, hey, dude, here's a checklist to do this, right? Or something like that. But it wasn't anything insightful per se. But yeah, I mean, you find your angle, man. I guess you just find your angle.
I like when he looks at the person and then looks back at the camera and does one of these moves where he's like, are you saying that you would have your taxes controlled by these people at any given time? And then looks at the camera. And it's just, is that what you're saying? It's just like, dude, you're not a hard-hitting journalist.
That's all right. I know.
You're just some guy with interesting thoughts.
I mean, I get it, man. You got to find your angle and, how do you get your attention, is how you get your attention. So, kudos to him, man. I think he's definitely got, an angle. I mean, he's been doing Valuetainment for a while. I mean, you go back some of his videos, and so he was, early stages of this, but he was always underground. Recently, I didn't really get wind of him till maybe you kind of hinted at him, and I started watching some of his stuff. That's okay. He's got some interesting things, and all the interviews he does. So I tell you, man, it's kind of interesting how these things kind of evolve over time. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know if Tucker Carlson's going to take that. I think he's still in the TV mode. But
yeah,
well, if nothing else, I mean, Tucker Carlson may just start his own thing. But man, what happened to all those guys that got kicked off Fox? They didn't do too well, man. Remember Megyn Kelly? She left and then she went to NBC, but that didn't pan out. She got immediately kicked off her own show because from racist comments or some controversial comments. I wouldn't say we're racist. And then you remember Glenn Beck, he was kicked off and then he kind of went off into no man's land. And then who was the last one? The guy, man, the terrible guy, the one about who was always talking about Columbine and all that kind of, not Columbine, but the Sandy Hook, that guy, Alex Jones. So it's like these guys, they get platformed for a little bit. Then they go over the line. And then they kind of do their own thing, and they're still around, I mean, Louis C.K., I still get his emails every now and then. So people are still making money. You just don't see them as much.
Here's the thing. You don't have to make that many. I mean, once you're out from underneath all of the corporate nonsense, you're making money much more directly.
Yeah.
So if you've got your audience and you can just kind of like turn on the money funnel, as you say, Frank Kern talks about this. He's like, every so often, you got to turn the money funnel on so the pipes don't freeze up.
I like that.
It's just his core group of people, though. And I think Patrick Bet-David, like when he was doing his insurance thing and he was making all these big insurance moves, I think the reason I'm trying to remember how I got him and Kobe Bryant together. They did an interview together, but I'm trying to remember how I found out about it. I think I was looking into some business moves that people were making. I was like, this guy from the business world talks to Kobe Bryant about, and I was like, oh, okay, well, let me look at this. And yeah, it was definitely apparent he was trying to get out of his box. And I think the only way he figured he could do that was by talking to other people and getting clout through influences, connections, and things like that. And suddenly it's like, well, you're not in this space, but you've got the name and you know these people, so we'll bring you over anyway.
Good point. I mean, not like the Earn Your Leisure guys, right? I mean, every time they're doing Invest Fest, they got someone else popping up, right? Showing up on Invest Fest, right? And so they're a big thing. So kudos to them. I mean, and about time, that there's someone, in this space, who's Black, who's kind of getting other Black influencers, to them. So I'm not hating on them at all. It's just previously, you see the Kevin Harts, or Steve Harvey, or other folks go to see Grant Cardone or other people, but now it's good that they're coming back to a group of guys, and these guys were nobodies, Matter of fact, inspiration for this podcast a little bit. So there you go. So yeah, I think that's a path forward.